This video is going to cover the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is used specifically to solve equations that look like this form. In terms of the quadratic formula, this here will provide you any solution to any equation that looks like this. So, for starters, given an equation of the form 2x squared plus x plus 1 equals to 0, you will identify first that your 2 is a, again, ax squared, so that's a. Your value here for b is going to be a 1, because there's no value there, you must assume there has to be a 1. And then for finally here, this is going to be your c value. In which case, again, I have the form ax squared plus bx plus c. If it is not in general form, again, remember this right here is called general form. If it is not first in general form, then you have to get it to general form before you can use the quadratic formula. Now, right here is the quadratic formula. When we're going to head and solve these, we're just going to go ahead and plug in the appropriate values. Be sure to use parentheses for all values that are not already numbers in the formula. So when I plug in my b value, this is going to be negative, and in a parenthesis I'm going to plug in 1. Plus or minus, and again that's the form right there for plus or minus, and I'm going to have a square root of my b squared, so b is 1 squared, minus of 4, those don't need parentheses because those were in the problem already, and then you have a, which is 2, and c, which is 1. Again, here is your a, here is your c, the constant term. This is all divided by. Now, it's extremely important that in your work you make sure that this fraction bar encompasses not only this term here, but this entire radical as well. Again, it must encompass all of this. This is all divided by 2 times my a value, which is 2. This is now the setup of the problem after we've got everything plugged in. And again, notice the only things that don't have parentheses around them are the numbers that were already numbers in the formula to begin with. My next step is going to go ahead and attempt to simplify as many details as possible. I will start with what is inside this radical. So what is 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1? That will be plus or minus the square root of, and again, if you simplify just what's in here, again, 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1. If I do 4 times 2 times 1, I get 8. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 8 is a negative 7. So that's what's going to now be inside the radical. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and drop the parentheses and just put negative 1. This is all divided by, again, all divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. So this provides us with a simplified version. The next step is if I can simplify the radical, I must. So I've simplified the interior. Is there anything that I can pull out? Well, I can pull out the negative 1 in terms of an I, so it's plus or minus I radical 7. And again, the question is can I simplify radical 7 any further? And the answer is no. There's no two terms that multiply to get me 7. This is all divided by 4. So now this right here is a possible final solution. I can see it this way here. Another way I could write this is negative 1 plus, or minus a negative 1/4 plus or minus I radical 7 all over 4. Again, you're taking this division by 4 and you're distributing it to each term. You're taking the division of 4 and you're distributing it to each term. This is another way that that answer could look. And then finally, you can have, again, this transform into a negative 1 plus I radical 7 over 4 and a negative 1 minus I radical 7 over 4. These are the other two ways that you can have these solutions set up. Again, this can also transition down to here so that you have two different solutions, plus or minus, the positive case and the negative case.